So at night in Seattle, when it rains, the streets are wet and the manhole covers are wet, like everything's wet. And if you're outside a bar or a restaurant that has a neon sign and you look down at the street, the neon sign is reflecting on every single individual drop. And it's super amazing, especially if you get down and look really close. And so I started doing a project of photographing that with my 4x5. So one of those was a manhole cover outside Ralph's Grocery and Deli on the corner of 3rd and I think it's Blanchard in Belltown, 3rd Avenue. And it's that manhole cover, if I got exactly the right angle, Ralph's Grocery and Deli was bright blue and bright green. Like cobalt blue and emerald green, huge neon sign that reflected exactly on the manhole cover in the most gorgeous way. And it was right in the middle of 3rd Avenue. So I tried a few times because I lived only a couple blocks away. And every time there's cars coming up and down 3rd Avenue and I would have to be under the hood of my camera with my 4x5 making a long exposure in the middle of 3rd Avenue, and it was impossible. So I realized the only way I can make that photograph is if I come back at like 3 a.m. And so I did. And then there's nobody around. I have plenty of time to take my picture. So I'm there, set up with my tripod under the cloth, and up pulls a police car. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm screwed. Dude gets out and he's like, what are you doing? It's like, oh geez. And I'm like, well, come and check this out. I'm a photographer and I'm taking a picture of the light that's reflecting on this manhole cover. And if you come and look from exactly this angle, you can see it's really cool looking. And he comes over and he looks, and then he looks up at the sign, and I put the cloth so he could see the ground glass, and he looks, and then he walks away and goes and gets back in his car, and I'm thinking, oh shit, he's like getting handcuffs or getting his thing to give me a ticket or whatever. And he starts up the car, turned on the red and blue lights, and I'm like, oh, shit. And he turned his car sideways to block traffic, and he got out and said, okay, now you're safe. Spend as much time as you want taking your photograph. I got you. I was like, dude, nice. And I got that photo, and the title of that photo is Ralph's Grocery and Deli, and I love it. There was another time in Belltown where there was a bunch of drug dealers, like really scary dudes that would cruise around at night in little groups. And every time I saw them, you can see them a long way away. And it's like all these dudes wearing like down jackets, and you know they're armed. Like that's the reason they wore down jackets even in the summer, is to cover up all the stuff they're carrying. And you could see them like a couple blocks away. And even if I was taking like a 5-hour exposure of some trees, as soon as I saw them, I just grabbed my camera and head the other direction and go home. And one time I was taking a picture that I really loved, and I needed like another hour on the exposure. And I'd already been there a long time, and here they came, and they came around a corner, and they were already pretty close, and I couldn't instantly bail. It looked like I was running away. And so I just froze a little bit, and they came right up to me and surrounded me. And that was a super scary moment. And the main dude comes right up and gets right in my face, and he says, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm taking a picture of this tree. And he's like, I'm like, oh man, any of these dudes, like the guys are right up against me, behind me. Any one of them could stick a knife in me right now. And I'm like, check it out. See, that's Seattle Micro see that neon sign, if you really pay attention, you can see that the purple and the red from that neon sign is going all the way up in that tree. The whole tree is lit. And I slid my film slider in and pulled the film out, stuck it in my bag, and I opened the lens back up and I said, look, if you look in there, you can see it. And I said, but you have to get under this cloth because it's really subtle. And the dude comes around and puts his head right down there, and I put the cloth over both of us. And he's like, I don't see anything. And I said, you have to look at the glass. Don't look through it. Look at the glass like a TV screen, and your eyes will adjust. And he's like, whoa. And then he came out and he looked, and then he went under, and he said, it's upside down. And I said, yeah, that's how the camera works. You have to compose upside down. He's like, whoa, awesome. And then he came out, he's like, dude, check this out. And then all these guys were like, let me take a look. And they're like elbowing each other out of the way to get under the dark cloth. And I was like, whew, that was a close one right there, man. Oh, Lord.